Welcome to the High Level Wife Podcast. This is a space for Christian wives who love God, want their marriage healed, and are done performing, fixing, striving, or trying to control their way to change. Here we're going to talk about marriage God's way through right order, surrender, heart posture, and spirit-led transformation. This is not self-help, it's discipleship. My name is Chelsey Holm, and my role is to help you move from awareness into obedience so real healing, wholeness, and restoration can take root. Let's begin. Wife, you are an atmosphere setter and a recalibrator. So, do you ever have those moments in your family where it's just like chaos erupts and you've got kids fighting, you've got husbands checked out or just completely overwhelmed with all of the noise? And it's just like, what is even going on right now? Right? Or you've got kids that are just saying things to each other that you're like, what? This is not how we talk. They're not learning this from me. This is not how I talk. This is not how I behave. None of these things. And it just seems like it's completely out of left field and it's extremely frustrating. Have you been there, my friend? Because with 5 kids, we are there quite frequently. Thankfully, by the power of the Holy Spirit working in and through my husband and myself and our kids, we're seeing it less and less, but it still comes up, right? Especially when we are in an effort to get out of the door at a certain time and in the van and to leave, right? These kinds of friction points pop up. I don't want to say inevitably because it's not inevitable, because we have a family mission and we have core values that set the stage, right? But we need recalibration from time to time when people start saying things or doing things that are not pleasing to the Lord and are not showing love to one another as they have first been loved. And so an example of this, and one that I set the atmosphere by calling my children by name and frequently reminding them that you are daughter of the king, you are son of the king. God loved you so much, he sent his son to die for you, and his heart is that none would perish. And his plan is being carried out, that we will all be restored to oneness and intimacy with the Father, right? And we are one body. We are the temple of the Holy Spirit, being built together by the Spirit for God's presence to dwell. That's the church. That's all of us, right? Who is my neighbor? Everyone. Who is my brother and sister? Everyone. But specifically in this family, and I constantly remind my kids that God specifically chose you to be in this family and chose this family for you and these siblings for you, right? I didn't choose. I chose my husband and my husband chose me, but our kids were chosen by the Lord for us and for each other and for his plan. And so, as an atmosphere setter, one example where I have to recalibrate often is anytime I hear my children call each other by anything other than their name, especially with negative connotations, right? And so I will simply turn to my son. This just happened the other morning at breakfast. My youngest called my oldest a jerk or something like along those lines. And I said, "Excuse me, son, who are you talking to?" "I'm talking to my sister." "And what is her name?" "Her name is Ruth." "Okay. So is the way that you're talking to your sister named Ruth, is this loving?" "No." "Okay. So we need to make some adjustments, yes?" "Yeah." And then I turned to Ruth and I said, "Ruth, who are you talking to?" "I'm talking to my brother." "Okay. And what is his name?" "Bo." "Okay. Is the way that you were talking to him and the name that you addressed him by, is that correct? Or do we need to make some corrections here?" Yeah. Okay. And I will tell you, as an atmosphere setter and recalibrator, I get to recalibrate my family all the time, right? Because my husband has set to the thermostat of this is the way, right? Under the authority of God that has been given to him by God. And as a wife, as the support, as the easer connect go, I am the atmosphere recalibrator. So when I look at that thermostat, right, or observe my family and it's off, right? It's either heated up too much or it's cooled down too much, right? I need to bring it back to where it's supposed to be. And so that's just a simple example of how I do that in the words that we say to one another, right? I also frequently have to um, stop the controlling of one another and remind one another that we are a family, we are a team, we have been chosen by God for each other and this family, right? We are the only gospel that a lot of this world, this unbelieving world, will experience, and they experience that through our family. And this is not to say that we need to look or act a certain way, right? Because God looks at the heart, not at the outside, right? Man looks at the outside. However, so it's not about the appearance or how we show up. It's about the inside. It's about the fruit that is on display for everyone around us to see, right? So love. How are we showing love to one another? And so I will recalibrate by asking my children, is the fruit that you are demonstrating right now to your sibling or to me or to dad, right? Is that, I mean, if Zach's here, then he's the one doing this, but I will say, is this putting love on display? Or is this a bad fruit? Is this more of a selfish fruit or, something rotten and smelly that the world's going to look at that and be like, how? How has, how is God real in what I'm observing right now? Right. And so I remind my kids that you are the only gospel that people are going to get to experience. So, what are you saying? What are you thinking? What are you doing? How are you interacting with one another? And what's on display? Right? Because the unbelieving world, they're not going to go to church. They're not going to listen to a sermon, right? They're probably not going to open a Bible or even have a Bible or read it. They're not going to do those things. So for most of the unbelieving world, we are the only gospel that they're going to experience. So what fruit is on display? Is it showing the transformative power of the finished work of the cross applied to our lives, or is it showing hypocrisy? Right? And so, as a wife, you are an atmosphere setter in the sense that the husband has already installed the HVAC system, right? With the guidance of the Lord, those core values, that mission. And you have that thermostat on the wall that it is your function and role and responsibility to make sure that it stays within the right temperature, to increase the temperature or to decrease the temperature based on the recalibration that you are observing is necessary. And let me just tell you, wife and mom, this is going to feel very repetitive and redundant. Like you're saying the same thing over and over and over. And this is where it's so important to walk in the spirit and ask for discernment and wisdom in every single conversation and situation, right? Because not every situation is navigated the same. But in those moments of great tension, right, where the heat is too high on the thermostat in the room, or the temperature is too high and needs to be brought back down, um, Holy Spirit, help me to teach these kids that you have given into my care for the time. And the Holy Spirit will guide you in this. Now, you're probably asking, okay, well, what do I do if my husband is not actually leading our family and I'm the one right now who is bearing this mantle? Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to create space. And this is actually going to be one of the next episodes that I record is about how we as wives don't withdraw, we do create the space. And what you do in those situations is you still are acting under the authority of the headship of your husband that God has given him, right? Not focusing on him as a man of what he does or doesn't do that you see with your eyes, but moving in alignment with the way that God has established our mission. Right? Jesus himself said to go and make disciples of all nations. A disciple is someone that we pour into, we correct, we encourage, we challenge, we help them move from milk to solid foods. Where is a better place to do that, both physically and spiritually, than within our own homes with our own children, right? And so you can continue to be that recalibrator. And what I want to make sure that you focus on is looking at the heart of your children and not just the external behavior correction. Because it's very easy to correct the external behavior, right, for fear of them, being punished, for them having that fear, and completely missing the point that their heart is what matters, their heart behind it. It's not about just compliance. It's about you creating a space for that conviction for the Holy Spirit to work in and through them. So make sure you're not forgetting that. Make sure you're not here trying to please people or to be pleasing to people and correcting your children out of just focusing on the external behavior. And instead, you're looking at the heart behind it. So those words, those are coming out of an overflow from their heart. What is it that they're putting into their heart and minds in the first place that's adding to that overflow? So it's not about just correcting behavior in the moment. It's about the heart behind it and the habits and the practices that go into it. It is exhausting work, but it is joyful work, my friend. And the more consistent and diligent you are to walk in the Spirit with being the recalibrator of your home, because you're following the prompts of the Holy Spirit to do that, oh my gosh, the joy will abound more and more. So, wife, you are an atmosphere setter and a recalibrator. The only way you do this is if you are rooted and grounded in the love of Christ and you are spirit led, not focusing just on what you see, but actually looking to the heart as God Himself does and aligning your heart to the Father's, hating what He hates and loving what He loves, and then walking forward in that to recalibrate your space, your environment, the relationships that the Lord has given into your care. I will see you on the next episode. If this episode stirred something in you, but high level wife feels like too big of a step right now, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't have to jump ahead to honor what God is doing. I created a short guided experience called From Awareness to Surrender for women who aren't ready for ongoing support but know they can't stay where they are. It includes 3 short teachings, a guided exercise, and a prayer I recorded over you. It's going to help you move from awareness into real response. You'll find the link in the show notes. And if you're not ready even for that, don't rush past this moment. Sit with God and ask Him what obedience looks like next.